Super happy to have Tori here. She was really animated yesterday when I talked to her and said, you've got to come join. You've got to come join and tell your story. So the transaction coordination group is all women, surprisingly enough. So that might have something to do with our energy level too. But Tori, welcome, welcome. We're glad to have you here. And
Thank you.
I think, I sent you 4 questions and it's all very formalized, but just tell us a little bit about what is it like to be a transaction coordinator for the company, and how does your day follow, and what does that mean to you?
So I think the first thing is my job is to make the agent and client make sure they have a good real estate experience.
Nice.
I think that's very important, try to provide excellent customer service to both.
To both sides of the equation.
Yes.
And, it was interesting when you started telling me your story about where you've been and, kind of your history. And I think that's a really important part of this conversation. So tell us a little bit about where you started, how you got into this, and where you've migrated to in this process.
So I started in real estate in 2001. I've held a real estate license in Idaho since 2003. I've always worked in administration. And so I've been with the same company since 2001. Of course, we merged with Distinctive Properties in 2019. When we did that, I worked out of the Twin Falls office. I was the office manager there. So compliance has always been since day one, since I've been started in real estate. So I love the compliancing department. I'm very personable. I love working with people. I love working with the agents, and hopefully I give them a great experience with our service. And I just went at day's end to make sure when we go to closing that not only is the agent and the client, I want everyone to walk away happy with the happy experience.
Nice. And now your world has turned into a virtual relationship. So how are you managing that? That must be different. What are you doing differently to continue to create what you call your biggest wish, which is exceptional customer service to both sides of the transaction?
It is, I started in transaction coordination just a year ago. And I love working remote. And it has been different, but most of my connections with agents and even the team I work with, love the team I work with. And even though we're not all together, we're still very close. And, we still are able to bounce things off of each other. As far as working with the agents, most of my work experience with them is email, but I've built some really good relationships with a lot of our agents, made some really good friends that way. Nice. And I think communication, since it is virtual, is very, very important. This job isn't a one size fit all, so I try to help the agents in a way that anything I can help them with to make the transition smooth, I will do.
That's great. That's awesome. So it's like you've been able to still link community to yourself, even though you're living kind of in a remote, like you said, in a remote world. You have the internal group supporting you, which is really important to you. And you also have the external group, which is the new person. And in our conversation, it sounded like you had really created some longevity in the bond between you and certain agents that you've committed to in this process. And that really was rewarding for you as well. Yeah.
It really
is. So if I'm an agent and I've never experienced Tori, And I do know, Tori, your marketplace is, where is your marketplace? Because I know we have transaction coordination kind of separated by state or office selection. So where's your group? Where are you at? Which states, which places?
So I've worked with most of our offices. Okay. On a daily basis, I work with Bozeman office. I work with Sun Valley. I do work with Twin Falls. I work with Durango and Vail, our Vail office.
So really, actually, it's you've turned into creating it and expanding it to more than one market. So
yes.
And if I'm an agent listening in today, in that relationship that you build, I'm almost feeling intrigued, like I want to come into your relationship because I feel your support. What specifically as a transaction coordination individual and compliance and all those combined things, what is it that you bring the agent in supporting them within their business? How does that work? What do I gain from that by joining you?
So as a full TC coordinator, you know, like I said, my goal is to work with the agent to make it a successful closing. But some of the things that I do is once I receive executed contract, I will send it to the title company, you know, to open escrow. I can chase signatures, client with other agents, and I will follow up to make sure we have fully executed documents. I will remind the agents of important dates and deadlines coming up. I can pull the agent's docs, you know, from like transaction desk, CTME, and I will compliance and prepare, you know, the docs for the closing. I'll let the agent know ahead of time if we are needing any documents. And then I want to make sure we have everything in line so we can get that agent paid, you know, at closing.
So I almost feel like what you bring me then as an agent is like an extra, like a support mechanism, you know, like just a little bit of relief so that I'm not constantly looking at my schedule. You know, you're building the schedule with me on the dates, and it sounds like you're communicating with the title company, and you're allowing me to go manage my business someplace else by supporting me with those basic tools. And I know from doing transactions myself that I always have, you know, this calendar at the bottom of my calendar going, you need to check this, you need to do this, you need to make this happen. And I'm like, what a relief if I had someone like you who was paying attention to that, which allowed me to be reminded, right, in a short fashion of success. And then at the end, when you close out a transaction, you're right. If the paperwork has kind of been complicated or difficult to pull together, you're supporting me by filling in my entire requirements and executing that piece and reminding me that I can get my paycheck in 24 hours. So like, that for me feels like really smooth and really supportive. And you also mentioned your relationship building and the relationships that you've built with agents. I mean, what's that offered you as a human in interacting with an agent where it makes a difference? Talk to me about that.
You know, like I said before, I'm very personable. I love people. I have made very good connections, relationships with a lot of our agents. You know, to name a few, I work really close with Greg and Amelia Smith out of our Bozeman. I've worked with many agents out of Bozeman. Love all of our agents we work with. I work really close in our Sun Valley office with Jim and with Jeannie. You know, just to name a few, Durango, Lindsay Lubrant, Chessie, Gina, and Vale, Amy, and Carrie. Just to name a few. I work with so many agents on a daily basis. It just, like I said, even though it's mainly just email correspondence, you get to know how people work, you get to know personalities just by that, and it's very rewarding.
Nice. Well, and Tori, I have to tell you that all the people that you mentioned are also many of the people in my travels that have told me that what they love about the relationship is that it's not just a mechanical process, but that Tori is a person I can really like share with and understands me, understands how I function, because each one of the players that you just mentioned are all very different, right? In
Yes.
how they run their business. And so they have quirks, and we all have quirks. And so it's really wonderful when the organization can come back and say, you know what, working with you has really made the difference in my business. So thank you for, you know, giving. And part of it is that we don't get to see you because we're in the virtual world. And so I'm really happy you just stepped into this box with us so that people can understand that you're available. And one of, you know, there are 5 transaction coordinators. They all participate in different, in the same support network, but for people to know who you are and to connect with you and be able to say, hey, help me, or who can I be with on the team that would help support me in this effort, makes it really human. And I'm really glad that we're warming you up in your heart as well as the other way around, because that's what matters, right, in the end. So thank you so much for being here and sharing your story. And I look forward to just continuing to connect and having you be part of our team as a whole.
Thank you very much for having me, Susanne.
Welcome. Glad to have you.